Hi boys, so I thought this might be kind of fun to do. Y'all remember my buddy Jeff Sherwood I fished with David from JSX. Jeff's with Tile Ski Resorts, and I'm over here at OHIV. We came over just to fun fish, we did, but he's actually here fishing a kayak tournament. So I thought it would be fun, based on the years of kayak fishing that he's done, for him to kind of go through what he has on his boat and why he has the things on his boat, mistakes he's made in the past, what he likes, what he doesn't like, for any of us that are, you know, initially thinking about getting a kayak. So this is a really tricked out, what model boat is this?
Pro Angler 14 from Hobie.
So it's a Pro Angler 14 from Hobie. We saw a 10-footer today, and you said, what's the biggest boat that'll be in this tournament tomorrow?
14.
Okay, so that'll be it. And you said the nice thing about this boat is really stable, because you guys stand up and fish as much as you sit down and fish, right?
Yeah, I mean, so most people think of a kayak and they look at, you know, you sit inside and you paddle and they're fast and they're fun. Fishing kayaks are totally different. So they're generally sit on top, so there's a hull and a seat, and they've evolved into these incredible fishing machines that, other than distance, there's everything that a bass boat has on this kayak. And arguably, again, other than distance,
And a live well.
there is a live well
Get
available.
out.
Yeah, Hobie makes a live well.
Okay.
Now, you couldn't put 5 fish in there, but you could put one big one in there.
Okay.
Or you could put bait. A lot of the guys who fish on the coast will use a live well to hold, you know, minnows or shiners or shrimp or whatever. But other than distance, I would argue this platform is the best fishing platform in the world, because I can get to where you can't get.
Absolutely. We saw that today, right? Yeah.
So, you know, this boat with my less girth than I normally have drafts around 6.5 inches.
Okay.
So super shallow, super skinny. So first class airline width seat, and I can adjust both forward and backwards, up and down. The seat goes from a low position to a high position. This is the high position. So when I'm sitting up high, it's easy to stand up in. It's easy on my back. And of course, I can see more. If the water gets rough, you just pull a lever and the boat seat drops down.
Yep.
So you can drop it down to a low position. In 12 years of fishing, I've only ever been in water scary enough where I needed to do that. The waves were 4.5 foot rollers, and I just wanted to be lower.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pedal drive system, which is not in it right now, but this is where the pedal drive lives. So, and this is a 360, so I control the pedal drive system with this control right here, and I can turn the drive, so I can go left, right, backwards, forwards, angle.
Oh, okay, I got you. All
So
right.
it's a fully articulating. There's a rudder in the back. Mine has an XI3 fob controlled trolling motor, so I can do about 4.5 miles an hour with that trolling motor. I can stand up and control it.
4.5 miles an hour?
Yeah.
So it'll fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This particular model, everybody's, you know, into forward-facing sonar. This deploys off the side and locks in to an arm right here, and this is how I control my Lowrance Active Target 2 system. So exactly the same as bass boat. I run 2 HDS live units. There's only one on the boat right now, just because this particular body of water, it's a shallow bite, and you just don't need more weight and more electronics and more. But I like that for map, for, you know, for depth, for water temperature, all the things that everybody else does. Multiple rod holders, so I'll go out with every one of these rod holders will have a rod in it. I can go with 14 rigged rods, so I have everything that every bass boat would want. You don't have to go with that many rods. Generally, the more rods you have, the more you haven't figured the fish out. So if you see
I'm gonna have 27 rods tomorrow.
Yeah. So if I go out with 3 rods, I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm on them. So boat holds 350 pound person 600 pounds of total weight is what the boat is rated for. On the very back, there's a micro pole anchor, power pole anchor. That's also controlled by a fob. Right now,
that's like 8 feet long or 9 feet long, isn't it?
It's almost 10, 9.6.
Okay.
And it actually has a GoPro mount on the top, but the problem is when you bring it up and down, it spins, so you can never stay straight. But you can either have this hardwired, or you can have it with a lithium battery, which is what I use.
It almost looks like one that goes on a weed eater or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's lithium. It clicks in, and you could run this battery for, 4 or 5 days of fishing. It's just not something you need. This is called an H crate. So this is where all the tackle lives. So I'll run all the tackle that I need for the day next to the rods. It's
and you carry a paddle just in case?
For 2 reasons. Yes, the drive system is mechanical. 2 things can happen with the drive. First of all, you can pull it out and drop it overboard. That would be pretty stupid, but it happens. Secondly, the drive can fail. You could hit something and break it, whatever, and you just want to always be able to get home. It's kind of a sad story, but when the patent ran out on the original Hobie drives, companies in China were knocking these off with the drive that the 20-year patent had expired, and they could reproduce them. Well, they were selling them, but Hobies all come with a paddle. That's part of their heritage. These people in China bought these things and got their drives failed, and they were out in the South China Sea, and the drift just took them, and they died of exposure.
Wow.
Just terrible, terrible. So a paddle is a safety thing. It also, technically, the law in Texas says this is a paddle, so you're not going to get a ticket. But if you don't have a paddle and you have a trolling motor, that's illegal. You got to have a whistle, you got to have a trolling motor. I run the Guardian Angel lighting system, which live right here. They're magnetic. So this is my running lights, which is also on a key fob. I'll also run the what is called the Viz Carbon Pro. So this is my 360 light and flag. So again, safety, pretty important.
Today, several of the guys I saw because of their flag.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a lumbar support on the seat. I know I talked about the seat, but the seat is super comfortable. It is absolutely the best in the game. And
is that custom to the boat, or is that something you bought?
No, this comes with the boat. The Hobie Pro Angler comes with it. These are aftermarket where you can hold stuff, and I run a lot of crazy stuff. This is line cutters. I don't know if you're familiar with line cutters. So really cool company. The guy was on Shark Tank. He's just a really nice guy that owns a company. His name's Vance. He made this line company called Line Cutters. So and this will cut 80-pound braid like butter.
Wow,
like
butter.
It's insane. So and you never know. We run, so in kayak fishing, the tournaments are, and my boat is an absolute disaster, guys. Don't leave your boat like this. I have not fished a tournament in a long time. I just kind of came out of retirement. We measure our fish. So this is the catch board. It's steel, so the board can't be bent. This one goes to 32 inches. They make 2 models, a 26-inch and a 32-inch. And I switched to the 32 after catching my personal best in Texas. And
hung over the end of your board?
Well, it was almost 25 inches. I realized there's 30-inch fish in Texas.
Yeah.
And if you catch one that's longer than the board, you're only going to get the length of the board, and then you're going to lose all that extra to the tournament.
Is that a hood on the front?
Yeah, this is the front hatch. So this is kind of one of the things with the trolling motors is it's do it yourself. So because we mount these onto the foot pedal. They're not made for kayaks. It is a short shaft, so it's made for small boats. But so what we do is pull this and deploy. That's how I'm going to deploy my motor. And then this center hatch is where all my electronics live. It's also a safety, tether for me to tow people or be towed if I need to.
You carry your rain suit and stuff in there too, I'm sure. Oh, you got a plug over there on the other side. You got a plug.
What's that?
A plug's in the way.
So the The center hatch is waterproof. This is one of those things that's gasketed. If you get into heavy water, you want to, or rough water, you want to make sure that's closed up. And then when I'm ready at the end of the day to bring this thing up, so basically I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull this, and then I just pull this cable.
Comes up easy, doesn't it?
What's that?
It comes up pretty easy.
Yeah, it's you know, it's easier on the water actually than it is.
Yeah, and so tomorrow, what percent of the time you're fishing will you stand versus sit?
With the trolling motor, I'll stand tomorrow with the way the bite is here, which is a flipping bite. 60 to 80% of the time I'll be standing tomorrow. So I'll sit to go from spot to spot.
Sure.
When I get to my spot, I'll stand up, flip. And what's really great about this trolling motor is I can set the course, set it to the lowest speed, and literally track.
Yeah.
The other thing that this boat has, and if you look in underneath, and I'll deploy both of them, it has what's called a skeg. So the skeg, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Is it coming down?
Barely.
So that skeg is just a straight rudder. Same principle as a sailboat.
Yeah.
So it's just for tracking. When you have that drop, the boat doesn't turn very effectively, but it tracks like
super
a
well.
laser beam.
Yeah.
The rudder, again, is controlled by the same mechanism. So if I just pop, now the rudder's down in the back. And I can steer the rudder.
Oh, I got you. So you can steer the front and the back, trolling motor and that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get good, you don't touch the rudder very much.
Yeah.
But yeah. Kayak cushions, when you get over 40, this is a pretty big deal. There's a company that makes these cushions that are logoed for Hobie.
I need to create the kayak umbrella, baby.
Yeah, well, it's out there,
Is it?
but it's hard to cast. Yeah, there's a bimini that they make.
Got his puck here. So you're running a motor guide now, but didn't you tell me you were going to change that?
I am changing it. So Power Pole makes now what is called the Move. The Move trolling motor, they brought that out last year. They launched it at ICAST a year ago. It's an incredible trolling motor. It's brushless, 22 speeds. The things, they make a saltwater and freshwater version. This year at ICAST, the people at Power Pole asked me to be an ambassador for their new trolling motor. So they have a short shaft kayak edition, 34-inch shaft instead of a regular 60-inch or whatever they are. So that motor is literally en route. I was hoping to have it for this event. The difference is this one in the right conditions maxes out at about 4 miles an hour. This Move trolling motor will max out at 8 miles an hour. So it'll literally double my speed. And that means faster to get to a spot, faster to be able to go from a spot. In a kayak, like I said, the only limitation is rough water, wind, and distance. You know, you just can't get to everywhere that you want to be. So, you know, I fished, I was doing a show in Michigan. And Kevin Van Dam, big lake inside a pavilion. There were bass in there, and Kevin was in his bass boat. He did his seminar. He's got the mic on. He leaves. The 300 people in the crowd lead. I'm next on the water, and now there's 4 people in the crowd. Nobody cares about seeing Jeff in the water. Kevin's still unloading his boat, and I caught a fish. He couldn't catch one. I didn't mean to catch a fish because you're not really supposed to have hooks on in these indoor events, right? But I didn't. So I was like, I caught the fish, put it in, throw it again, I catch again. Now Kevin puts his mic back on and he starts talking. And he starts talking about kayaks and how they're a great way to get into the sport. He was really quite a gentleman, actually. So when I finished, as I was pedaling in, people were asking me questions. And that one of the guys said to Kevin, what do you think of kayak anglers? He said, I'm not afraid to fish behind anybody in the world except a kayak angler. He said, because there's no meat left on the bone with those guys. Because we don't have the option to drop the big motor and go 30 miles to our next spot. So if it's fishy, we're going to fish it.
And you said Iaconelli fishes some of these, and I can't say his name.
Carl Jakobsen. This is actually the Mike Iaconelli limited edition pro angler.
I see his name on there. Yeah.
So Mike is a pro for Hobie. He's an ambassador for the sport, and you can, if you want red, you get the Mike Iaconelli edition. And I'm a big fan of the red, so I've had green and blue and tan, and I mean, I think this is my 11th Pro Angler 14, and I tell you what, you look at it, it looks like that is a gash from a dock. I mean, it's rotomolded plastic. There's just...
pretty indestructible.
Yeah.
Now, I know you have your battery inside charging. Where does your battery sit?
Battery sits right here, plugs into this
I got you.
system.
Okay.
So this battery runs both my trolling motor and my electronics and my GoPro. So I use a GoPro, the YOLO Tech camera mount, same one that Ken uses on his big boat.
Where do you put your yellow tag?
It's got a port right there. You should see it.
I got you. Yeah, okay.
And that's hardwired, so
Cool.
the minute I plug it in, I got power all day.
I got you. Oh, I didn't realize there were two paddles. Now I see the second paddle. I got you.
Yeah, and it goes together, you know.
Yeah.
You're in big trouble if you need that, but it's better to have it. The one thing, actually, it's kind of funny because when I first started...
That's a sculling paddle?
Yeah, it's a salt. This guy was a Army Ranger or Navy SEAL or something. Anyways, he built this paddle and he shipped it to me. And I'll tell you, in the beginning, before we had reverse, before we had 360, you could only go forward. So when you got into a tight spot, it was like, how do I turn around? You didn't want to use the big paddle. This guy shipped me this. You grab line that's caught. You can dispatch a fish or guy that's hole buzzard on your spot. This is called the Assault hand paddle, and I still keep it in the boat. It's still one of those things, like $30, and you know, it's amazing. So you asked me, what have I learned? What are the mistakes that I've made? The biggest mistake that I think kayak anglers make, the number one mistake, that it's financial. They invest in a cheap kayak to start with. So rotomolding means they take a bunch of powder, they put it in a giant mold, and they spin it, and the stuff heats and it sticks to the side. They open the mold, you can actually see there's a crease line on it, and then they just shave off all the excess. So it's one piece. They cut the holes out. The whole kayak is filled with foam. If I drill holes in the side of this, it won't sink. So it is 100%, you know, it'll scuttle and get rough to move around, but it is 100% unsinkable. Boats that are two-piece plastic, they can crack, they can get holes in them. They're cheap and they're financially affordable, but they don't paddle well, they don't pedal, they don't do all the things.
And you said they're tippy.
They can be. They're either slow or tippy. Both are terrible. So if you're planning on getting into this and you want to do it, I would recommend, there's a boat from Hobie called the Outback. It is almost 14 feet. This is 38 inches wide. So the Outback is 32 or 33 inches wide. Still stand up in it. Still a great seat. Just not as good for really big guys. If you're over 250 pounds, you need to be in this boat. They make this in a 12 and a 14. 12's a little cheaper, don't buy it. 14 is, and a lot of times people look at these boats and they're like, well, I'm gonna get my wife to 12 and I'll get the 14. Get a divorce lawyer right away, because the 14 is so much faster. She's gonna be struggling to keep up with you.
Displaces the water better.
Displaces the water better,
Sure.
So don't waste money. The other mistakes that I made in the very beginning was just learning the craft, you know, spending time on the water and learning how to do this. I saw a guy on the water 2 days ago, and he said he was scared to stand up in this boat. But these boats have chining on them, and they have primary and secondary stability. I have said since day one, you either have to be drunk or stupid to fall out of this boat, to flip this boat. You can fall out of it.
Sure.
But when you stand on it, you can rock back and forth and it will not flip. And if you're sitting in it, it's a rock. It's a rock. I've been in very big waves with this boat and gone through surf, launched in surf, landed in surf. they're incredible. Now there's a lot of other boats. I was sponsored by Hobie for a long time. I'm not anymore. I still love the brand. I still love the product, but there are a lot of great products out there for people. Also, test drive the boat before you buy it. There's a million places where you can either rent them or you can go to a demo day, get on the water and choose the boat that suits you best.
If a guy's looking at a used one, is there anything to be aware of?
Absolutely. So the biggest issue with Hobies is this area right here where the drive goes. If there's any cracking, it's almost definitely, that's the highest stress area of the boat. So first of all, look the hull over, make sure there's no, holes or major damage, but you want to really get in there with a camera, something that you can look in there and make sure there's no cracking. Take it for a test drive. These boats have plugs. They do take on water. There's holes everywhere, but you'll know after day one of 2 hours on the water whether your boat's taking on any extra moisture. So that's how we drain the boat. If you're getting a lot of water in there, you got a problem somewhere.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this is you can pull this with a much smaller vehicle.
Yeah, you don't need I bought a truck because my plan is to eventually get into bass boats. I love, I'm 55 years old, and this is a big boat if you have a trailer, getting on and off a trailer is like that. But you got to have a launch, right? You got to be able to launch it. You got to be able to back a trailer up. You got the whole storing the trailer, driving with the trailer. But I know people that drive a, PT Cruiser with this boat and a trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a front wheel drive, little sporty mini SUV. So
very cool. Well, thanks, man.
What else you want to know?
That's good. That's perfect. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
Catch 100 inches.
Wouldn't that be nice? 100 inches, and that's right to check.
What do you think wins tomorrow?
I think somebody always is going to find them.
Now wait, y'all weigh every fish.
We measure.
12, but I mean, it's not your best 5. It's your best.
No, it's your best 5.
Oh, it is your best 5.
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the one that's your total amount of fish is Lake Fork. That's in November. 99% of these tournaments are your best 5. Some of them are still 3, but it's 5. So the gold standard in kayak fishing is the century mark, 100 inches. That's 5 20-inch fish, or averaging 20-inch fish. Which is probably 22 pounds. Yeah. It could be anywhere from 17 pounds to 25 pounds, depending on how skinny and all that great stuff. But with the way this lake is fishing, I would say 81 inches wins it. I'll be able to fact check that for you guys by the time we get this video posted. So we'll let y'all know. 81 inches is going to win. Hopefully right there I'll inset a picture of Jeff holding a giant one. So yeah. So I would think people are going to catch one good one, and then they're going to struggle to catch. You think about it, 5/15s is 75 inches. So, a 15's a pound and a half probably. So all right. Cool, man.